1965 when I went to bed. Greetings, cats and kittens. Welcome once again to Baggy Hi-Fi, this YouTube channel devoted to record collecting and the vinyl community here in the UK. Well, it's 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. And it's that time of year when the VC goes crazy and everyone does a vinyl tag. Well, not everyone. And there has been a little bit of controversy in the VC just before Christmas when the first vinyl tag was announced by a pretty green vinyl guy at the beginning of December. Now that seemed okay, I guess, but just seemed a little bit too early. Since then people are starting to do that tag, but there are other tags around. There's a CD tag, there's a soul tag, lots of variations. Now the variation I'm going to respond to is a British one set by David Atkinson. David Atkinson sounds like he's from this part of the world, that is northeast England, and it's quite a popular channel. And David spoke about the controversy, the anti-static inner sleeves at dawn battle that seemed to be going on some of the live streams. Don't really get involved with that kind of thing, but yeah, some people thought the first vinyl tag that was announced was too early, and I think some other people then, because it's normally Rob Walker that sets the vinyl tag every year, but I've been doing that for quite a few years and decided not to do it anymore. But anyway, forget the controversy. This is the one I'm doing because I think the questions are quite interesting. Now, David Atkinson's been on the VC for a few years, but he decided to look back at the questions that were set before he was in the VC, before he was making videos, and compile the ones that he found interesting. And I think these are quite interesting questions as well, as far as vinyl tags go. So I'm going to answer these 20 questions. So this is the, as David calls it, the vinyl tag 2025 Redux. First question: what holes are you looking to fill in your vinyl collection? Well, I think most of us who've been buying records for decades went through that period where they probably got rid of a few records that they wish they hadn't got rid of, and that's the case with me as well. I used to have quite a few REM originals on vinyl, especially those early ones, which I'd like to have again. I'd like to get a few more albums by The Church. But loads and loads of artists. I mean, I like the Kinks, and I really don't only have about 3 albums by the Kinks. It's strange, you know, some of the bands you like you don't have in your collection. I think sometimes well, you know, these are easily available records by these big artists, and I'll just wait and buy it some other time. But, you know, there may not be another time. So, yeah, I'd like to fill in some of these sort of better known artists in my collection and get return some of the ones I used to have in my collection, even though that's going to be probably a bit pricey. Second question: your favourite double album? Well, fairly easy, because I don't really have that many double albums, and a lot of double albums tend to be live ones. I'm not a massive fan of live albums, but this is the one I chose. Favourite double album: it's Joni Mitchell, Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. This is the one that she made after the brilliant Hejira. I think this came out in 1977, and it really benefits from the extra space going on, especially as some of this music is about landscape, as Hejira was before it. Jaco Pastorius is still on this album. It's quite jazzy, but the track that, I think it's the full side, yeah, side 2, Paprika Plains, nearly 17 minutes. Very orchestral, evoking landscape. Echoes of Aaron Copland on this one, but I love this album. In Joni's great run of 70s albums, Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. The third question: show a 10-inch record. not a great fan of 10-inch records, and I don't think many people are. Not too keen on that format really. I quite like 12-inch singles. But in the case of these Joe Meek T-chest tapes, they have been released on 10-inch format, previously unreleased Joe Meek productions and outtakes, etc. Now these were being put out by Cherry Red, and I think maybe they haven't sold very well, because about the first 4 or 5 were out on Cherry Red. This is the Telstar story. But I've noticed when I've been trying to find any new T-chest releases on vinyl, that they're now being put out by another label, and it's the import price. So you're paying sort of £30 for a 10-inch single, and you really have to think twice, because I really wanted to get all of these, and I'm thinking twice now. But anyway, this is an excellent example of a good 10-inch record. Joe Meek's T-chest tapes, Telstar story. Dave Adams, Norman Hale, The Tornadoes, Glenda Collins does a vocal version of Telstar on this. Great stuff. The fourth question, I Was There, a band you've seen. I've been to a few live shows in my time, but this is one that I remember fondly. When I went to see Blue Oyster Cult, probably would have been just before the pandemic, maybe about 2019. Fantastic show, obviously veteran band, put on a great show. Lots of riffing and lots of heaviness and lots of arcane lyrics. Did a great selection from their big back catalogue. Blue Oyster Cult, band I've seen and very much enjoyed. Very memorable show that was. Next question. A discography you own all major releases of an artist or a band, or you own the most of? Well, I'm not really the kind of collector that is a completist. You know, if a band has gone off the boil and they've more recently produced some poor records, I probably won't buy those. Some people would, just to be completist, but I don't do that. I just really buy the records I like by, or at least the majority of the ones that I think are worth buying. So, not really a completist. Question 6, pre-band. An album or band featuring someone who went on to become famous. Well, I thought of this one. The Idle Race. Jeff Lynne, who went on to sell millions and millions of records with ELO. Here he is in the 60s in his brilliant psych pop band, The Idle Race. Great collection this, by the way, on the American Run Out Groove label. Next question. A musical book or a movie you would recommend? Read this one not so long ago. Actually, exhaustive book by Joe Banks on Hawkwind, Days of the Underground. This just goes up to about 1980, 81. Covers their late 60s, early 70s, and all the 70s recordings. Great detail, great photos and clippings and of this really wonderful British space rock institution. So that's yeah, Days of the Underground, Hawkwind, Radical Escapism in the Age of Paranoia. Next question. An album you bought cheap that's now worth money. Well, this one. A bit of a legendary album by The Fall, Hex Induction Hour. This is an original on Camera Records from 1982. I didn't buy it in 1982. I bought it, would have been in the 90s probably, second hand. I think I paid £2.50, £3 at the most for it. It is an original on Camera Records. And I looked on Discogs the other evening, and this goes for between about £130 and £160. So I better get this one in a plastic cover, eh? Question 10, a trilogy, a trio of albums, 3 great back-to-back albums recorded back-to-back from the same artist or band. Oh, have I missed one out? Yes, sorry. Question 9, favourite drummer, Chris Cutler of Henry Cow. It's their live album, concerts. There he is there. Great champion of the avant-garde. Has a very sort of splashy style. Still keeps the beat, probably very jazz influenced, I would think, but distinctive drumming style. As they sort of go, and if you watch any videos of Henry Cow live, his arms are like an octopus. Not saying he has that many arms, but you know what I'm getting at. Great drummer, Chris Cutler. Now back to that question 10, a trilogy, 3 albums recorded back to back, which are, you think are good. Eno's early solo albums, Here Come the Warm Jets, a little bit glam still at that stage, this is a reissue. Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy, these are all albums where Eno sings on them, but they're chock full of musical ideas. Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy, these are all on Island, it's an original, and also this is an original as well. Another Green World. Three brilliant back-to-back albums by Brian Eno. On to the 11th question. An album that needs a vinyl pressing. Well, the big thing in the 90s, well, one of the big things, or big sort of rediscoveries, was the rediscovery of easy listening and exotica and lounge music, and all of those, you know, being in the 90s, tended to come out, be reissued. The collections tended to come out on CD. Now, there's a great series that Capitol Records put out called the Ultra Lounge series, and I do like to listen to some exotica from time to time. So this is one of the volumes. That's Wild and Swinging. Another one, probably my favourite of these 3 I have, Organs in Orbit, Ultra Lounge series, and then another fine one here, Mondo Exotica. Now these would be really nice to have on vinyl, I think, because, you know, one of the things you use exotica or easy listening music for is as background music, and as you sip your martini. So it'd be nice to slip on the your vinyl version of one of these onto your dancette and smoke a cigar and, as I say, have a cocktail or two. So I'd like to see these have a vinyl issue if anyone's interested. Next question. A girl group. Another great 90s label in the US was the Estrus label, devoted to contemporary garage bands, and here's one here, the Brood, all girl group, the album Vendetta. Good record. So it's Vendetta by the Brood, girl group. Next question. A punk album, or the closest thing you have to it. Well, I could have shown the first Clash album or whatever, and that I've had for many years, but I thought I'd keep someone who's keeping the punk DIY spirit alive and still performing on minimal equipment and doesn't compromise. Spirit of Punk, Wild Billy Childish. This is an album from a couple of years ago. Wild Billy Childish and CTMF, Last Punk Standing, appropriately enough. Excellent album. On Damaged Goods label, British album, releases lots of punky stuff. Now the next question, an album by the first artist or band you saw live. Now I probably as a child maybe saw some live music with my parents or sisters, but I can't really remember. So the first live gig I went to on my own and dropped off by my dad, I have to say, because I wasn't even old enough to take my O levels. So I think I was about 14 when I saw this band, and it was Can at the Liverpool Stadium. The tour they did for the Soon Over Babaluma album, and this is my original copy, quite scuffed, which I bought from Silly Billy's in Liverpool. Yeah, so my dad dropped me off, and you might think, how does a 14-year-old know about Can, who lots of people have only sort of discovered years and years later? Well, if you were reading the music press at the time, like thousands and thousands of us were, you know, the weekly music mags like NME or Melody Maker, I do remember Ian MacDonald writing loads and loads about Can and, you know, how great they were. And there were lots of people at the gig, so, you know, they weren't as obscure as you might think. So, but brilliant nevertheless. Lots of improvising around some of the tracks that are on this Soon Over Babaluma. So there it is. Next question. Album still in the shrink. I can show you two. One of them, I think I've just kept them in the shrink. This one in the shrink because I know it really well, and I tend to play this one on CD. Van der Graaf Generators 1970 album, H2HE, Who Am the Only One. Vinyl reissue, still in the shrink. Great prog album. And the other one is this one I think you might recognise, Sgt. Pepper's. This is the anniversary edition. I do have 2 other copies of this. I have it on CD. So probably if I'm going to play it, I'll probably play the one that isn't in the shrink wrap. So this is my 3rd copy, and I may open it someday. I'm not being precious about it, but that's still in the shrink after a couple of years. Next question is an album from a different continent. Pretty easy, but I want to show an album which I think is a great one. From Australia, Heyday by The Church. Next question. An album with at least 8 people on the jacket cover. This is one you see a lot in the charity shops. The St. Winifred's School Choir and The Children Sing. Now they had a hit with, anyway, there's the cover. Lots of choir members there from sort of Manchester area. They did have a hit, and is it on this one? Maybe not. Yeah, no, it's not. It's just 1979, this. They had a schmaltzy hit with There's No One Quite Like Grandad. Those of you who know it may feel quite scarred by it, but there you are. Lots of people on that album cover. Coming towards the end now. Yeah, the 20th question, the final question on David Atkinson's Vinyl Tag 2025 Redux. Your favourite VC experience? Well, I do enjoy being in the VC, but or advice for people contemplating making videos. Just a couple of bits of advice from a grizzled veteran like myself. I would say don't take yourself too seriously. Have fun, because that's really what it's all about. Don't think that you're a great filmmaker or a great critic. Well, you may be, but this is my advice. And don't buy records just to show them off. Buy them because you want to listen to them. That's my sage advice for anyone contemplating making videos in the VC. Hope everyone has a great 2025, healthy and happy. Thank you, David, for setting these questions. Look forward to seeing other vinyl tags that will be coming in the next few days and weeks. But for now, I'll say bye for now.